WNST. I'm just going to say this, Bill. You can't see me out on the internet, but the people on Facebook Live can see me and our YouTube WNST TV channel. This is the first segment I'm doing with the official locker room world champion, Stanley Cup champion swag. So I spent the day in D.C. on Tuesday. Bill Cole, of course, our partner from Cole Roofing and Pfister Energy, and our sports pal who hates the Redskins like the rest of us, right? Probably doesn't like the Nationals and wouldn't feel good about a Nationals parade. But I haven't found a whole lot of people in Baltimore who hate the notion of a Capitals parade. If there had to be a parade between the Washington Monument and the Capitol, why not the Washington Capitals?
Yeah, I'm genuinely a guy who thinks that sports teams winning provide, good business stimulus. So they're close enough that, they got people excited and traffic's a little better and the restaurants are doing a little better, and so.
Well, certainly in D.C. they were. After the parade on Tuesday, it was insane. I was like, I wonder what the real economic impact on a Tuesday afternoon in downtown D.C. is when 500,000 people come down and all eat and drink, literally.
Yeah, it's massive, massive.
Why is it that Baltimore doesn't hate the Capitol? Now, I'm only asking that on the broader sense because I know there are people who hate the Capitals. I think we were relatively indifferent to the Capitals for long, long stretches of time. I think this kid's changed things, right? I think since Ovechkin's been there, there's been this feeling amongst people who don't even know a lot about hockey that this was inevitable to some degree, right? That at some point he was too great to not win, but we all know that that's not true either, that at any point he could have broken a leg, had a concussion, his career could have ended, whatever, but it always felt like they have a chance to win because they have him.
I agree, but he could have been a guy that did it the whole time and never won. I mean, that would have been, terrible, but I think it's okay to root for them because your alternatives are the Flyers or the Penguins, and that's even more unacceptable.
Right.
So,
I would agree with that. Right. Okay,
so
fair enough.
Yeah,
so this is,
knows,
you can always bring it back to anti-Pittsburgh and anti-Philly is what you're telling me.
And what Philly, goes back and forth, but everybody knows somebody who is a Washington fan. And,
spoken like a real Baltimore, you call it Washington. That's great.
Yeah, of course.
Of course.
Washington.
Perfect. Washington. When I say that, my wife gives me a hard time.
Okay. Right. My kids give me a hard time about it.
Yeah, well, we hate the other teams, but I don't see anyone that's fuming that the Capitals won. I mean, unless you've got some Jones for the Penguins or the Flyers, once in a lifetime. And I'll say this, and I was going to bring this up with you. Do you still have a Terps championship hat from 01-02?
Sure.
Okay, I do too. Do you still have your first Ravens Super Bowl hat?
Sure.
I have two of those. One that I've never worn, one that I just put in the closet. I don't know. It's been sitting there 17 years. I don't know what the hell I'm doing with it, but it's sitting there. And then, of course, we have the hats that we got in New Orleans a couple years ago. It's not your birthright to be a fan. I know the people in Boston would dispute this, especially if you live long enough. Even Cleveland got a championship. The Cubs got a championship, but it doesn't have to work out that I get to get the Capitals gear,
Sure.
But it sure is nice. It does feel like if you live long enough now, and I will turn 50 in October. By the way, I hope you join us in Nashville for the Jack Daniels tour, Billy. Let's see now. I've had an Oriole parade in 83, plus my heart broken in 79. I was a Bullets fan in 76, 77, 78. It made my dad pissed. My dad, I think he rooted for Jack Sikma for all I know. But, or Rick Barry. But, I saw the Bullets win when I was a kid with my dad. I saw the Orioles win in 83 when I was 15 years old. I saw us lose a football team, get a football team back, which is better than any parade for me. And then we've had two parades there. I've now had my hockey team win. I've now had my college basketball team win, although it does feel like a long time ago with the baseball team. But I don't know, dude. I mean, it might be done for me, right? I mean, maybe the U.S. could win the World Cup, but it's not going to happen this month. That's for sure. I don't know what's left for me, man. Maybe getting a hockey team back in Baltimore. I don't know, but I think I've checked all the boxes. I mean, I'm wearing a hat that, quite frankly, I didn't know that I would ever wear, Bill.
Yeah, it's like maybe we'd get a Triple Crown winner every now and then or something. I don't know, but yeah. I think we've been very blessed to the point of being spoiled. We've all talked about that with the playoff run with the Ravens. It was like when we didn't make it, everybody was kind of just weird. Like, what? We didn't make the playoffs. What is that? So I do feel blessed, and it is, I don't know, maybe you need to figure out something else to put on the bucket list, right? Like, you've checked all the boxes.
Well, I want to go see the Northern Lights. I mean, that's not a sporting event, but that's something I want to do. My wife wants to do safari in Africa, but, you can save up enough money and get on a plane, and if you're healthy enough, go do those things. Like, your team winning, that's serendipity, right? I mean, like, that's not a planned act at all, and certainly for a lot of Capsters. By the way, did you watch any part of the parade, little parts of the parade? Where were you on that? Because, like, my wife didn't go, but it was on in background. I went down. I made a big stink about it. I don't know that I was blown away that 500,000 people showed up, but I didn't know there was that much Caps gear that existed. Like, literally, it really is amazing how many pieces of Capitals gear exist in the universe. I know it's that way for the Orioles. Like, let's say someone died and we had to have an Orioles parade and 500,000 people had to show up. There would be 500,000 people around here with an orange shirt. I mean, It's in their closet, but it's dormant, right? Like, it's like a cicada until it comes out. I mean, 7 weeks ago, you wouldn't have gotten 500,000 people to dress in red and show up down on the mall. But then this series of events happens, and everybody wears red. It was wild to see how they forced people to take a day off from work and get on the subway and come downtown. That many people would stop their lives. Really, I think it moved Ted. I think it moved Barry Trotz when I was with him under the Washington Monument.
I think that, and this is a bit pessimistic, but like half of that gear got bought in the last 3 weeks. And then I think timing's good. So early June, like, the kids are almost out of school or they're out of school, and you can run down with them. Things are kind of like getting ready to take summer break.
It was a beautiful day, by the way.
Right. It's been a while. You could not have drawn a better weather day. Like, the weather was just absolutely beautiful.
My tan will tell you that.
I think a ton of credit goes to D.C. and what they've done to make people feel safe, provide public transportation that makes it easy to get around. The parade started when they started putting people in the street outside the arena, and people got to go do that and experience that and said, oh, well, I'm definitely going to the parade. So that was really groundwork that got laid trying to get people out into the streets.
Well, how often do you get to go to a parade?
Sure.
For a championship. I'm not talking about St. Patrick's Day, but I mean, in your lifetime, in my lifetime here, we've had, 3, right? 83 Orioles that I did not attend because I had school and just didn't really think much about a parade at that point because I was at the game, and then the 2 Ravens parades. I mean, I'm 50 years old, so I woke up at 5 a.m. on Tuesday, and I said to my wife the same thing I said when I woke up in 01, when I wound up on Mike Flynn's float, the same thing I said when I got off the plane from New Orleans, and my wife had endured a 20-hour bus ride home and literally got 2 hours of sleep, went out into it, is if you don't go today, that this is not something you can, like, if you didn't see Robert Plant Tuesday, maybe you can see him a week from Tuesday in Toronto or something. But if you don't do the parade, you don't do the parade. So you don't get a second opportunity to do that, right?
I think 100%. Like you said before, travel, trips, other things on your bucket list, you can just schedule. They're always there. There's nothing in your way. You have complete control. You have zero control over whether your team is able to string together enough plays to win. And when they do, there's a series of events that are once-in-a-lifetime events. Like, even if the Caps win again, there's never that first parade. Or, there's never the time that, Ovechkin won. So there's things about it that can only happen this one time. And, I think it causes people to action.
Well, one of the actions, by the way, Bill Cole is here from Cole Roofing. He is my sports pal. You can find him at Cole Roofing as well as at Pfister Energy, where they do nice things on roofs and they keep you dry and safe and use your commercial and corporate roof space wisely. it's been quite a week, right? Like, I honest to God, didn't see a dribble of the NBA Finals. I mean, I watched 2 minutes of game 2. I was on airplanes. I was back and forth. I was in hockey rinks. I was covering hockey. I was out drinking with the Stanley Cup, doing crazy stuff. That happens, and, other than on my social media and knowing that the games weren't close and knowing that LeBron was a one-man wrecking crew, that they couldn't get it done in that circumstance, then there's the Triple Crown that happens on Saturday, where the hangover of the Stanley Cup thing was nuts. I couldn't get anyone to go on a bus to Belmont. As it turned out, it probably wasn't a bad idea because it was kind of a busy weekend for me all the way around. But we have another horse that wins a Triple Crown. We are a horse racing state. Boy, that didn't get its fair share of run around here. I mean, I think the Capitals and the suckitude of the Orioles have sort of grabbed all the oxygen in the room, even from Joe Flacco and Lamar Jackson, who are throwing the football around this week.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I didn't even remember that it was on, and I spent 2 weeks talking about I thought there was zero chance that the horse would win, so maybe that played into my not paying attention, but.
Well, it is a mile and a half. I mean, it's a long way to go.
If the Preakness is 3 lengths longer, I don't think the horse wins that race. So I was genuinely shocked when I was with my brother and we're at a wedding and he's like, "Oh yeah, Triple Crown." I'm like, "Oh well, okay."
I only watched it every year for 30 years and nothing happened. I only got on buses up to Belmont 3 times for Funny Side and Smarty Jones and Big Brown, and nothing happened. They get nosed out at the end, and I've missed 2 of them now. I shouldn't lament that. I mean, my wife and I are actually talking about, hey, could we go to Churchill Downs and see Justify run in the Breeders' Cup? Because that's going to be the story. In November 3rd, it's going to be the last time that horse runs. They've said now that the Triple Crown has become a little easier to win because the Preakness becomes in the bag because no one comes to the Preakness anymore, which isn't good for the Preakness and isn't good for the Maryland Jockey Club. But then they all sort of gang up on the horse. But, this horse is going to be maligned because it's not the first horse, right? I mean, it's not as big a deal, obviously, but it's kind of a shame it's not as big a deal because it is.
This will be one of the ones that'll be more famous 10 years from now in horse people circles, right? Like, I don't think we can fully appreciate how good of a horse it really is. And I'm by no means like a horse historian, but I don't think you accidentally win the Triple Crown, even if people want to diminish, the quality of the other horses or anything. I think it's just a really difficult thing to do, and there was a lot of distractions at the time for us locally, so I think it might be the name that it's hard to remember, like when you do your trivia, it might be the one that's hard to remember, but I don't think so. I think people are going to start to appreciate the horse.
He is Bill Cole. He's at Cole Roofing and Pfister Energy. He is still watching sports. And, man, we get this little period of time here. We're going to have the Major League Baseball All-Star Game come next month. And beginning this week and into next week and really for the next month, until such point where they deal Manny Machado and let Zach Britton go somewhere else and walk guys late in games, I'm going to be all over the Orioles here the next month, Billy. I'm doing my Dear Orioles series. And, I'm going to begin with Peter and the boys and Brady Angelos and Buck Showalter and Dan. They're all going to get a letter from me in the mail over the next month at WNST.net. What's your temperature on this as to where we are? I mean, the Caps are done, right? The Wizards aren't winning anything. Lacrosse is done. The Triple Crown's done. Whatever your summer beach plan is, you have it. If you're going down to D.C. for the All-Star Game next month because we got screwed out of it because our owners are putts, that's cool. But, training camp's 6 weeks away, and unless anything weird happens at the passing camp this week with Flacco and these guys reporting for the mandatories, it's going to be quiet here for 6 weeks. And I'm going to, buckle up, put my pine tar on, hit my fungos, play my pepper, and I'm going to report on the state of the Orioles. And I know that that's not front and center. It's not cool. It's not hip. Nobody's going to the games. They're going to play Miami in front of, 12,000 people all weekend unless they're giving out a bobblehead or whatever. But the Orioles were my focus. Where's your temperature on the summer and the Orioles? Because there's not going to be any good news coming out of the Orioles this summer. That's for sure.
I think it sounds like an extremely lonely way to spend your next 30 days. Like,
well, someone has to report about it, right? Somebody has to keep them honest and hold them accountable when they are charging full price for a AA product.
yeah, I guess. I don't know. I mean, we'd probably have to debate the long-term consequences of like total neglect, because that's kind of what's occurring already.
Wow. Okay. Long-term consequences of total neglect. I'm quoting you on this, but I'm going to use that. That's stolen.
I mean, there's definitely, like you said, you feel your duty is to report on this, and I'm telling you, I think the fans feel a duty to not pay any attention. And, maybe it's subconsciously. We're not boycotting. That would require too much energy. We're just not paying any attention because it's just that bad. I mean, even if you listen to some of the undertones of what Buck is saying, it's like, this is brutal. I don't even want to do this. Like, I can't even get out of bed to come to work. This is so bad. So I don't know. I think it'd only take one smart comment out of the backup quarterback to, like, pull all the attention span over there, and for people to kind of spiral up some kind of, mouthy backup quarterback scenario where...
But this is where the foul play happens, is when we all fall asleep. This is where the journalist in me comes out and slaps you and everybody else around and says, whoa. So you're just going to let them sit in the corner and do whatever they want over there, and then you're going to run back out there next opening day, and you're going to give them your $4 a month for the cable bill? I don't know, Bill. I mean, this is exactly... when the cockroaches are out is exactly when I should bring the bright light that Bono brought out during Bullet the Blue Sky and shine a light on the cockroaches and say, you've got cockroaches, clean your kitchen. Literally. Like, this is the time they should be getting slapped around for all of their crimes, all of their sins. To your point, all of the neglect that's gone on as the tumbleweeds blow through downtown Baltimore this weekend.
Yeah, I think as well as I do that there's an internal transition that's occurring that's probably causing, gridlock from any kind of long-term planning or there's no change happening because the transition is so dysfunctional. So I would... on one level...
Well, you can't imagine the transition being dysfunctional. The whole effing place has been dysfunctional for 25 years, right? How could the transition be smooth?
Well, agreed.
This isn't going to be Ozzy giving the team over to Eric.
But that's what's going to give them a pass, because we've all been there and done that and had some sort of difficult transition in our life. And you know what? We're going to give somebody a clean slate if anybody ever steps up and becomes the new, face of the team, and we feel like someone is attempting to do something with it, then I think they'll get a pass from everybody, and we'll all go running back, and we'll see what happens then. And if the person turns out to be a jerk, then...
Well, if the person's Brady Anderson, he's already a jerk. So, there's no way Brady Anderson is going to reach out to the community and recruit people. I mean, Flanagan tried that. We saw what happened with him. I mean, Flanagan was the first guy to say, I'm going to reach to the fans. I'm going to be honest with the fans. I'm going to be accountable. I'm going to hold press conferences. I'm going to be honest. We're going to tell you what's going on. We're going to provide clarity for our fan base and our partners and our sponsors and our skybox holders and our media partners and all of that. Flanagan tried that. Flanagan's the last one that tried that. That was 16 years ago when we were sitting out at Michael's Cafe in Timonium, and he told me he was going to run the place. I mean, if they put Brady Anderson and prop him up on a press conference August 10th and call him the vice president of all things Angelos, where's the credibility in Brady Anderson?
No, I would agree with you there. I mean,
or leadership, or community, or any of that.
Right, other than being the guy responsible for sideburns in Baltimore.
Yeah, and beefcake posters, right? I mean...
Yeah, and juicing, come on, give me a break. He seems to be forgotten when we talk about that, but he had to be one of the primary causes, And
he never used steroids, Billy, he told me.
Right.
That's what he told me. I mean, it's like the guy in Korea. Whatever he tells, you got to believe it, right?
Well, I don't know anything to be otherwise, but
right.
Sounds,
well, Brady did not.
Weird.
Brady never used steroids. Just ask him. Bill Cole is our guy. Cole Roofing and Pfister Energy. They do roof stuff. They sponsor WNST. Bill's been my sports pal, occasional adult beverage drinker, as well as coffee in the mornings. And I do have my Cole Roofing mug. Tell everybody what you guys do with Cole Roofing and Pfister Energy, and I'll let you get back to kicking the Orioles around and praising the Caps.
All right. So we're a almost 100-year-old commercial roofing company. We do everything from service calls up to new construction, giant schools and shopping centers and everything in between. Full suite of metal work, so any kind of gutters or metal roofs or siding and wall panels. We also have a solar company, Pfister Energy of Baltimore, doing solar panels on top of roofs or on top of parking lots, or in wide-open farms that we convert to generate electricity.
It kind of sucks that you do these nice things up on roofs and nobody can actually see them unless you're in a helicopter. So I do appreciate you take pictures and put them on the website. Because from the website, from this drone or whatever you're taking above, you can really see what incredible stuff people do. You know, every time I take off on a plane at BWI now, I look down to see what buildings are doing on roofs, and that world has changed dramatically.
Yeah, it's still a polarizing thing. I mean, there's still a large percentage of the population who doesn't want to see them, and then there's a large percentage of the population that feels empowered and thinks they do look pretty and appreciates, I think, maybe just the advancement in our technology and society. So for those that want to see them, we can do things to make them visible. For those that don't want to see them, we can hide them too. So we try to be agnostic on that position.
Bill Cole is our agnostic friend here on all things, but not agnostic about sports in Baltimore and Washington and the Caps and the Orioles and all this. Anything you want to say on the Ravens? I mean, this is the 1 week they're throwing the football around. Luke's out there, we're watching. I think this is the point where they try to turn Lamar Jackson into a wide receiver that he doesn't want to be. I've seen Harbaugh's quotes earlier in the week about all of this. He's not going to play quarterback this year. I'd be shocked if he does. That would only mean that Flacco really stinks or gets hurt. And I don't think Flacco's really going to stink. And I don't think some kid who's the fifth best quarterback in the draft, who every team in the league passes on, is just going to come in here. And I think Flacco's much maligned, and I think you'll appreciate him when he's gone.
Oh, I totally agree with that. I think anybody who has a good appreciation for how fragile it is to win really appreciates Joe and is rooting for Joe this year. So I haven't thought too much about him. I'm excited to see him go. I think it's funny that you can get in trouble and get penalized by the league, and no one really understands it, and it doesn't seem like it's a big deal. It's almost like it's a decision. Hey, we really think we should do this, and if we get caught, whatever. So I think that's funny about football. But it'd be interesting to see. I think we really just need some extroverted players who can do it in a respectful way that can grow to be Pro Bowlers, so that there's somebody on the team that people want to go buy their jersey. Because we don't seem to have any of those players anymore, right? Like, Joe's not that outgoing, and Suggs is just about done, and I mean, whose jersey are you buying?
Nobody's wearing the Marshall Yonda, is what you're telling me.
Yeah, I just think we need a couple of those guys. I mean, there was a time when we were really good where, there was, 8 to 10 different jerseys. I mean, right now, maybe Tucker's the most jersey, right? I don't know. So,
we've been saying that for a few years. When your kicker's your best player, you need to draft better. And that's pretty clear.
Sure, I agree.
All right, man. Well, take care of yourself. Buckle up. We're not going to have any more parades this week. We've already done, although, Ovechkin getting drunk with the cup, that could happen at any point here, I think. And we're going to get the cup up to Baltimore as well. And at some point, you and I will sit in an Orioles game or something like that and have an adult beverage before the summer is over. Billy, we'll check in again next week. I'm trying to fix the Orioles around here the next month. I know it's heavy lifting. I need to rest up.
All right, sounds good, man. Thanks.
The Dear Orioles series begins this weekend at WNST.net. You can find my dear friend Bill Cole at Cole Roofing and Pfister Energy, as well as sponsoring our Thursday morning community and charity series. We'll be talking about a lot of things this summer. I'll be doing a lot of that stuff over the course of time here, as certainly I'm not going to be discussing the Orioles on a day-to-day basis other than how to fix them, which is my next goal. So if you love the Orioles, you're going to hate me over the next 6 weeks. Nasty at WNST.net. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram, streaming live on our Facebook as well as our YouTube WNSTV channel. Everything you find here at WNST.net, you can find in the buyatoyota.com audio vault 24 hours a day from anywhere in the world on your mobile device by downloading the TuneIn Radio app. We do come in crystal clear from anywhere in the world. It's buyatoyota.com. Our morning newspaper ships at 7 a.m. every morning to your email inbox. It comes digitally. It's all brought to you by our friends at Planet Fitness, where they're always judgment-free. They have the Lunk Alarm. You can always get inspired at planetoftriumphs.com. And don't forget the Maryland Jockey Club and Laurel. They are racing this weekend down there, the beautiful new sports bar and club area. And we got a Triple Crown winner now to celebrate in the horse racing space. And the Maryland Jockey Club entries and Laurel on the front of WNST.net as well as in our morning newspaper. Dennis will be here on Thursday driving you home 3 until 5. It is the SSV on WNST. Dennis Kolatzis is the host. And, of course, Coons Ford sponsors our WNST tech service. So that the minute that Manny Machado is traded away and Dan Duquette is done and Buck Showalter ends and anybody else they're going to deal. One thing you won't be getting is the Chris Davis contract rescinding. That will not be happening. But the WNST Tech Service brought to you by Coons Ford of Security Boulevard. So many Stanley Cup memories, pictures, chats coming in the buyatoyota.com audio vault all over our social media. It has been quite the run around here. My Dear Orioles series begins this week. It's a long, hot summer. Someone has to fix the Orioles. I select me. We are WNST.net, AM 1570, and WNST Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports.